Thank you to Bob and the Oosting family for joining us tonight. Our next inductee is a true pioneer for women's athletics at Trinity College. I promise you that the list I'm about to give is actually accurate. She was a member of cross country, track and field, basketball, swimming and diving, and softball. And was also instrumental in the creation of women's swimming and diving, cross country, and softball teams. Ladies and gentlemen, Lainer Drew.
Lainer played 5 sports. Hartford Current then referred to her as the Babe Dietrichson of Trinity College. She not only played 5 sports, she excelled in all of them, and she excelled in the classroom. We're talking about somebody who's putting in 4 or 5 plus hours a day. And I would look up from the sideline, and Coach McPhee would be like this, tapping his watch, meaning her relay was coming up, her event was coming up, he needed her now. So, substitute her out, she tears out the door, she goes up the stairwell and strips off her basketball uniform, gets on the block, swims, gets back out, puts her basketball uniform on, comes back out, and gets on the court. Dripping a little water, I dare say, but back on the court. And I still remember Woody Anderson was a longtime sports editor for the Hartford Current, and one of his greatest headlines was, he called her the Clark Kent of women's athletics, that she went into a stairwell on the roof and came out a superwoman. And his headline was, Trinity Superwoman leaps from sport to sport. And that really was Lainer Drew.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Lainer Drew.
The lights are bright. Wow, it's exciting to be standing up here. Before I get started with my remarks, I wanted to say a couple of things. First of all, Leanne, your speech earlier tonight was a home run, so in case you didn't realize that. And second, Marcus, I would like to thank you for being transformational in the squash arena, because I have a lot of friends at home that went to Ivy League schools, and I get to constantly check the squash scores and rub it in. So thank you very much. One final thing I'd like to say is I think I have the most inductees at my table, and I know Drew didn't mean to, but he forgot one of them. Denise Jones is at my, CR is at my table too, so I have Robin and Rick and Denise at my table, so thank you. It's really hard to stand up here and tell you how humbled and honored I am to be receiving this award. I looked at reviewed the list of inductees this year and prior years, and I thought, oh wow, I'm not sure I stand up to some of these incredible athletes and coaches in terms of their contributions, because I feel like I was on the very early end of sports here. So I'd like to thank, in particular, Denise Jones-Sierra, who nominated me and had tireless advocacy to get me into this Hall of Fame. So thank you very much, Denise. I'm especially honored also to be joining my fellow classmate, Pat McNamara, in this special honor. I'm very sad that Pat could not be here with me to double the number of inductees in the class of 1980 to 4. So the first was Denise in 2022. The second one was Sue Proctor last year for her incredible rowing prowess. And then now with Pat and Lainer, we are at 4. I checked with a very reliable source to find out if that was the most inductees for any one class, because I'm still a little competitive. And the reliable source, Bertie, told me that we are now tied with the class of 1985 for the most inductees. So shout out to the class of 1980. We need one more. It's also very special that I'm being inducted with Hannah Brickley tonight. Until last night, I had not met Hannah, but I met her last night at the volleyball game. And it's very special to me because her mother, Cindy Higgins Brickley, played basketball with me, and she was one of my favorite basketball teammates. And she is also from the class of 1980, like I said, and her father, as we all know, was one of the inaugural inductees to the Hall of Fame in 2019. So, Hannah, I just want to say congratulations, and I don't know how you could have, I understand how you're such a stellar person and athlete because you started with some pretty good DNA. So how did I get to Trinity College from Jacksonville, Florida? When I started searching for colleges, I decided I wanted to go to the Northeast because I had a good friend that had gone to Williams the year before. And so I was putting together my list of colleges where I was looking, and my college advisor looked at my list and he said, well, why don't you have Trinity College on that list? And I said, well, I never heard of Trinity College. And he said, it just so happened, fate has it, that he was a 1971 graduate of Trinity College. And so he convinced me to put Trinity College on my list. So I put it on my list, started applying, sent off my applications. And as I was starting to get my acceptances, somewhere along the line, I found out that my 2 favorite sports from high school, basketball and swimming, I played some other sports, but those were the 2 that I wanted to continue in college for sure. I found out in the Northeast, they are in the same season, winter. In Florida, they're in 2 separate seasons. So I kind of panicked because I couldn't imagine going away to college and not being able to play my 2 sports. So my college counselor said, just, contact the coaches at the schools you've been accepted at and ask them if you can play 2 sports in one season. So this is 1975, 75-ish, I think. So you write letters back then. You didn't know texting or email or anything like that. So I got my little letters out and wrote these coaches. And 2 of the coaches, Princeton and Yale, said, absolutely not. You just need to swim. You can't possibly do 2 sports. But Trinity and Williams, well, the Williams coach was very nice. He wrote me a nice letter back and said, check with your friend at Williams. I think you can do it, but you'll have to manage it. And here at Trinity, Chet McPhee picked up the phone and called me. And so, as you might imagine, if you know Chet, that sealed the deal. 1 phone call from Chet McPhee. The following fall, I was at Trinity College, so that's how I got here. It really was the right decision for me. The only problem is I didn't have a fall sport, so we'll get to that. So I had to wait till winter, and at wintertime I had 4+ hours of workouts. It was 2 hours of swimming, followed by 2 hours of basketball. If I had to do it over, I would reverse that because I got the worst set of shin splints ever because I got out of the pool, it was all loosey-goosey, and then I had to go pound on the basketball court for 2 hours. But it really was the right decision for me. I fell in love with my coaches and teammates, and Ferris, I found my people at Ferris Athletic Center, basically, and made me very happy. So I'm very proud to be considered a pioneer and called a pioneer, and have been a part of the development and advancement of a couple of my sports to varsity level status from its very infancy. But it's hard for me to understand it was hard for me to understand when I was here that I was a pioneer because I was just playing my sports. I just loved sports and I just went out there and played them. But one of the things that's interesting is today I don't think it's possible to do 5 sports in college. Because today everybody seems to have to specialize really early on, pick a sport, pick 2 sports, that's about all you can do. But one of the special things about Trinity for me was that because I could play so many sports, I I discovered my best sport when I was here at Trinity. I was not a runner when I came to Trinity. As I told you before, my two main sports. And my basketball coach, I'm gonna have to give credit to two coaches sitting at my table. My basketball coach extraordinaire, Robin Shepard, with a little help from Drew Highland, she decided that we had to run 2 miles every day for basketball fitness, and Cindy will remember this as well. And so right here in this field house, ironically, I logged 20 laps. I think it was 10 laps to the mile. Is that right, Cindy? 20 laps around this field house, every single day for Robin. And somewhere along the way, I decided I actually liked running. And I didn't tell Robin that, but I actually liked the running. And so I played softball that spring, but came back in the fall and I thought, I like running and I don't have anything to do in the fall, so what should I do? And another friend of mine, Kathy Schlein, and I decided we're going to start the cross-country team. So the two of us went to the coaches. There were no female coaches for cross-country, but we went to the male coaches and said, can we run with the guys? And they said, sure. They put us in a couple of meets as individuals because you have to have at least 5 to make a team. We didn't have a team. And that was the beginning stages of cross-country here at Trinity College, and I actually still have my singlet, which I thought you saw in one of the pictures. I still have it. It's very heavy, and it's not what they wear today, but I obviously liked it enough to hang on to it. So I don't know if Miss Ruby knew I took this, Robin. So like I said, I played softball, and then the next spring I thought, well, I really like running, so Rick probably convinced me to come out for a track team instead of doing softball. The only mistake that Rick made is you saw the picture of me throwing the javelin, that was probably the day that I pulled my groin muscle, because I was not a very good javelin thrower, but Rick thought I needed to do more than running, so he tried me in javelin. After that, I stuck to running. So everybody has incredible memories of games and points and times and everything. I don't remember any of that, you guys. I think it's because I've been gone a long time, and maybe I just don't have a memory of it because I just love sports. But the most important thing to me was my family at Ferris Athletic Center, because truly they were my family. If I wasn't playing my sports, I was down in Unit D playing with Craig and Rick pickup basketball. If I wasn't doing that, I was running with a bunch of professors at lunchtime. So it really, truly was my home while I was here. And you might think, wow, she did so many sports, how did she possibly study? But believe it or not, I studied hard enough to be a Phi Beta Kappa classics major. Thank you, Dr. McCrow and Bradley and Williams for that. And I really did love my academics, but spent a whole lot more time at Ferris than I did in the library. So 44 years later, I have to say, I feel still surrounded by the same special group that was here when I was here. I mean, I have all my coaches, Robin, Chet, Drew, Rick, Sue McCarthy, Bill Schultz, Jane Millspaw. I mean, the list just goes on and on. I mean, all those people, I still love them and remember them, and I'm in contact with quite a few of them, which is pretty special. So I guess I would just like to say that sports meant everything to me here at Trinity. For my coaches and my friends Cindy and Denise, who are both here for me tonight in my different sports. And thank you, Kristen, for standing in for my beloved Chet, because without Chet, I wouldn't have been here. So I owe a great debt to Chet for getting me here, and a great debt. I regret that my father can't be here because he was my biggest sports fan. And I owe a great debt to him for his love, sharing his love of sports with me, and also for his genetics, because he was a really good athlete too. So when I left Trinity, sports continued to just inform my life. I became much more serious as a runner, started training really hard, and started competing at a much higher level. I actually qualified for the 1984 first ever women's Olympic marathon trials, which was pretty special. If any of you ever followed running, Joan Benoit is still my hero. She went to Bowdoin, and she was the first qualifier at the trials, and then went on to win the Olympics in 1984. So that's very special to me. I competed for about 20 years, for every distance from 5K to the marathon, and then also during this time I coached a lot because loved coaching, and I loved my coaches, and they taught me so much. So I've coached basketball, swimming, cross country, track and field. I started a chapter of Girls on the Run in Jacksonville, if any of you are familiar with that program. And honestly, I have to say that, inspiring young athletes to do well and watching their achievements is almost as good, if not better, than all the athletic achievements that I have had. So, in closing, I would just like to thank Trinity College for everything that they have done for me. Sport that I learned here or that I developed here has taught me so many lessons in life, and it just continues to bring me such joy. It continues to also give me friendships and community everywhere I go. I mean, my big set of friends now revolves around sports. So thank you, Trinity, for being an important and integral part of my life's journey and for this incredible honor. I am truly humbled, and I thank you. Go Bantams.